I always think I should start speaking before I actually should, because people always do that. Hello, I'm DTail74. With me on the couch, I have, in order.
Hi, it's me, KillerChair. I keep showing up on this area.
I'm Valyssa. I have played this game at some point.
I'm someone. I don't know what I'm doing here. Maybe I'll leave later.
Vibes. And this is going to be Metroid Dread, any percent, no major glitches, like Xoneris said. Now, before we begin, I need to ask you guys a question. Do I do the cool new risky thing or the old slightly less cool safe thing? Okay. Well,
always.
Cool. Okay.
Risky and cool.
Yeah.
I will take no responsibility for time losses incurred.
We're ahead of schedule. We'll be fine.
We are. And the estimate is incredibly generous, so we will genuinely be okay. In that case, could one of you give me a countdown, please?
All three of us?
Sure.
6,
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
All right.
We are so competent.
You never expect a 6.
Right off the bat, what's cool is we're actually already saving time over the last time I did this at BSG, because as it turns out, I had never bothered over the last 3 years of running this game to move the game from the SD card to the local system memory, which saves like almost a minute and a half in load times across the run. So that was a very easy time save like 2 months ago. That was very welcome. But in any event, this is any percent no major glitches, and you might be wondering what that means. Broadly, it means we can't do any glitches that have been removed from the game via patch, so we're just running on the most recent version for ease of use. And also, there's a specific list of other stuff that's still possible, but that we're also not allowed to do.
Hi, Adam. Bye, Adam.
Hi, Adam. Bye, Adam. We will do that a few more times. But not to worry, there are still many, many glitches in this run, or rather many instances of the same few actually useful glitches. The first of which is coming up very shortly. This is going to be a pseudo wave. And what that is, as the name suggests, it's an imitation of the wave beam item, where we're going to shoot through a wall, only we're not supposed to be able to do that yet. And it looks like this. So basically the way that this works is we clip the arm cannon out of bounds, but not Samus herself, because doing the latter would kill you. But clipping the arm cannon out of bounds is fine. And so if we do just that and don't overshoot it, we can actually just hit this block, which is great. So
Very
that
nice.
allows us to go up here. And this is where the cool risky thing comes in, so I'm going to focus up.
Yeah, so through a series of like jumps and manipulating the Emmy into specific spots, we can do, and the parry attack that you saw earlier, we can kind of like wedge ourselves up a wall that we're not supposed to go.
This is
in
going to take
doing
a couple
so-
attempts.
You're gonna get it first try, actually.
Oh yeah, and for those who don't know, Emmys are these terrifying robot-like creatures.
As I said, you're gonna get it second try.
Yep.
So the annoying thing about this trick is that old jump that I did, that looked a lot easier than it is. Very difficult to actually set that up correctly, and a lot of finicky little inputs right in the middle of it. But if you actually manage to get up there and jump over the Emmy, you still just have to parry her immediately afterwards, which is a whole thing in and of itself. So, like I said, this is probably going to take a few attempts. Like right there, I didn't even make the jump. But it is very cool when it works. Doing this allows us to get the charge beam first, which is normally the item you would get first, but we're going to get it first in a way that's actually fast, as opposed to the casual route, which is very slow.
That was a long delay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so
that's really the main trick, is you just can't get scared. You have to just wait and just play by reaction alone, because if you press it early at any point, you just fail it immediately.
And the parry is specifically important because otherwise the alarms do not turn off. And the alarms need to turn off in order to be able to leave the area that the Emmy inhabits.
Yep.
So
we
we
do
might
not
as well
want
do
to
it
spend
right
the rest
there.
hour and a half in here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, it's tough. This is why I wanted to ask at the start. It's like, should I do this?
So
'Cause
you can
it's-
blame all of us.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Now it's not my
Absolutely.
problem.
Yeah.
Now it's not my problem.
You got this. Surely.
For sure. But yeah, so the problem with the Emmys is it's a very tight timing window, and on top of that, it's not consistent. So you can't just learn the timing and do it every time. It's actually just, yeah, you have to either react perfectly or have a lucky guess.
Pretty much. Now, it is only like a certain number of set patterns, but it is quite a high number. So you know, that doesn't really help. You can't memorize all like 15 of them or whatever it is. There are a couple that I do actually know though, just in case they come up.
Yeah, you still got to do this initial jump as well every time.
Which, like, high key, that's the hardest part of the trick, because, like, the Emmy is difficult, yes, but it's only one input, right? It's not, like, complicated in any way.
Nice.
There we go.
Nice. Parry her? I hardly know her.
Good one.
Oh, boy, it's only just begun. So now we have to do this other trick. Now, this is one that I'm notoriously bad at. Yep, okay.
Oh. Horrible,
Anyway.
horrible even.
Terrible. No,
Yeah.
I always feel that. No, that's pressure pad skip. That's only really a time save. You don't actually have to do that, but it's like 20 seconds. So, you know, we do that.
We take them.
Now, the unfortunate part about doing this route with the big Artaria skip, which is what that trick that we were just doing is called, is that while doing pressure pad skip, the Emmy is actually like right next to you, which in the older routes she wouldn't be. And so you only actually have a limited amount of time to do pressure pad skip on this route, because at some point the Emmy's going to catch up to you, at which point you'll have to parry her again, and obviously that's a whole mess that you want to avoid. So you're actually kind of under some time pressure in this route that we didn't used to be. I'm going to pick up an energy tank here. It's partially for safety, but partially also just because we need a decent amount of health to actually damage tank through some cold rooms much, much later. And strictly speaking, the one tank that we start with is enough. You can do it taking only 80 damage, but obviously we don't really want to risk that. Certainly not in a marathon, but also just not in general. So we do still pick up that energy tank and another one a little later. Plus, it's just nice to have, right? Makes it easier to not die, which is generally fast, so that's good.
So, first boss.
Oh, yeah. First boss, Corpius. Corpius would normally be sort of the first thing you do immediately after doing the pseudo waves to get up here in the first place. But doing this newer route with Big Artaria skip, he's actually second up. And so the Phantom Cloak is going to be the second item we get instead of the first. Now, Corpius's whole deal is that he turns invisible. That's like the whole gimmick. That's also what the item that we get from him does. And I screwed up. Yep, there we go. Okay. Cool. Anyway, so the way that this fight works is basically you have to sort of briefly be able to see like where he's moving as you hit him when his outline is visible. And so you have to keep track of where his head's going so you can keep hitting it. And taking the time to like repeatedly aim at where he is, and certainly if you mess it up, this boss is a big source of RNG because it's just like every once in a while he's not cooperating and you shoot in the wrong place and you've wasted some time, and you do that like 30 times, right? So it's a little annoying.
Yep.
You know what? First boss is done, so I'm gonna head out. I gotta take a bus. But hey, don't worry. I brought a replacement.
Okay. I wonder who it'll be.
Could it be Voltorb?
There's no way it's Voltorb, right?
No. Voltorb's a quiet one.
He has no mouth.
Oh, is that who I think it is? Not sure. Is that at least a family member of who I think it is?
Yeah, Philippe
It's
mysteriously vanished after last run.
Yeah. It's Philippe Jr.
Happy to have you, Philippe Jr.
And he's brought his son, Philippe Jr. Jr.
Gosh.
It's Metroid bread all over again.
Yep.
Yep.
For those who weren't at BSG Annual 24, when I did any percent NMG Dread mode at that event, we did this where we had the baguette on the couch with the headset and everything.
Yeah. Gave him my shades too.
It was wonderful.
True.
It was so silly. So it's good to have that back.
Yep. Oh yeah. Hi Adam. Bye Adam.
Bye Adam. Yeah, this is actually the last time that we talked to Adam this run. Doing Big Artaria skip earlier made it so that we won't need to talk to Adam anymore after this one. The reasons why we do still need to talk to him there just have to do with like the topography of everything. The fact is you have to talk to him in that room twice normally in casual route. And so doing Big Artaria skip doesn't actually like break sequence fully. It just means that we only have to visit that room once, which means that one of those two cutscenes, the first one, is still gonna play. But then after that, we don't have to come back there. And so the second one isn't gonna play. And because that one doesn't play, none of the ones that follow throughout the rest of the game will either, which is great. Now we've gotten the Omega Blaster from this central unit, and that means that I'm a little bit late, but there is a photosensitivity warning. There are some flashing lights. This is because the leaderboards for this game allow for turbo controls, which is great for your hands and your general health when speedrunning this game. But it's a little bit less good at times because it can cause some flashing on screen and this sort of thing. But actually, a change was recently made to the rules on that front. The maximum cap that you could have your turbos set to used to be 12 inputs per second, but now it's actually 21. And now my controller can only do 20, so I have a slight disadvantage. But so it's a little faster now. That's because people got so good at mashing in this game that turbo wasn't actually a viable alternative anymore. And so the whole point of like protecting people's health at a high level of running by not making them mash literally 20 to 30 times a second wasn't actually being achieved by the turbo anymore. So they raised the cap on it to be slightly more competitive, to sort of stick to the point of allowing it in the first place. Which is great for me because I was already using turbo the entire time, and so I've just gotten faster for free.
Love to get some free time saves.
Hell yeah. That's been a trend with me recently. I've gotten a lot better at the game, and I've pushed down my time a lot. Also by learning new things and actually just like getting better, but also because I moved the game to the system memory, and the turbo cap got increased, and some other stuff having to do with turbo as well. They unbanned missile weaving, and they unbanned turbo omega stream, both of which we'll probably get into a little bit later.
I'm sure all of those changes went by without any crazy discussions and people getting heated.
Yep, absolutely not.
Also, you saw a bunch of cool damage boosts and whatever did.
That section is very cool. I'm sad I didn't comment on it. There's so much going on there.
Speaking of things that we didn't comment on, it's not going to be relevant really much more, but the Phantom Cloak ability, you're supposed to activate it and slowly walk forward, but you can also activate it as you're sliding, just allowing you to keep your momentum through the detection doors, essentially.
Yep. It's really sweet. The Phantom Cloak in general is actually a weirdly useful item because the fact, like, it slows you down, so it's not fast by itself, but it just, the way that it sort of messes with Samus's movement and the way that she interacts with terrain and so on is like actually very useful. We're going to be using the Phantom Cloak to do some funny jumps, just to save like a second here and there, a couple times more throughout the run, and we've already done it a few times as well. It's great. Love that item. Now here we don't have to talk to Adam. We would normally, but because of Big Artaria skip, we actually don't have to, which is great.
We just told Adam it's bedtime.
Yep. Honestly, he's right. This is way too late for me. I've had a long week, man. I was just in seminar earlier today.
So this area is like a whole thing about rerouting the heat. So you kind of go to like spot one to reroute the heat, to open the door, to open to another door, to open another door.
Another door?
Yeah.
It's a little deep cut Mario reference. Anyway, this section is very cool in terms of movement, but there really isn't a lot going on necessarily that's like big to talk about. So I see we have a few donations. If we want to read those, now's a good time.
Yeah, it would be my pleasure. We got €5 from Anonymous saying, amazing marathon so far. Good luck besting the Emmys. Your housemate, Emmy.
Thanks, Em. Appreciate it.
We also got €17 from Quarix and Average NB saying €17 for the number 17 any percent NMG runner in the world. Congrats on the Keku Bop.
It's a couple weeks past at this point, but I'm still very proud of it.
Yeah, DTail's been tearing it up on the leaderboard lately. It's nuts.
Yeah, with that, thank you so much all for the donations. Please keep them coming. Please keep in mind that at the end of the day, we're raising money for charity here, and all of the money you're donating goes directly towards charity, which so far is €6,070, which is absolutely amazing in my mind. So please keep them coming. We still have 2 more days of awesome speedruns. And with that, back to you guys.
That was very close.
Yeah, the green Emmy is a weird one. Can spawn in a couple of different spots. Green Emmy definitely gave me trouble back in the day when I ran this.
Doing a cute little slide there immediately after firing the charge shot, just turning around and sliding under the wall, allows us to do that bit of movement while the cutscene's already playing, which is naturally faster than having to wait. Saves like a second at most, but it is incredibly cool looking. right here, I'm going to charge this charge shot and then boink and open that door in just a minute. But first I have to press this button. There's a lot of those sorts of little things of like opening this door a little bit early or moving in a slightly different way over here that I've learned over the last maybe 3 months or so that I've come back to this game. I've gotten like a lot of time save out of those sorts of things, like right here as well. Just like the ability to not grab onto those ledges while falling down, that's a lot harder than it looks. And I only learned that very recently.
Yeah, there's a lot of tiny bits of time saving, like how to grab ledges or specifically not grab ledges or slide down ledges or simply holding the down direction while falling past ledges.
It's great that ledge grab works like when you need it to, but it also works when you don't need it to.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a double-edged sword.
Managing that is a big part of movement optimization in this game. Now that funny wall jump that I was doing just now, that's called Atom Save Skip. And it does what it sounds like. It skips having to go through the Atom Saves. And now I know what you're thinking. Didn't you say we didn't need to do that because of Big Artaria Skip? So what's the point? And that's true. Atom Save Skip, right, just now, didn't actually prevent us from having to talk to Adam anymore. Big Artaria Skip already does that. But this is the way that we would have done that, back in the day, hence the name. But also, it's just still fast to do this, just for physical routing through Xoneris, which is the region that we're in right now.
Yeah.
So, like, we still do it, because it's still fast. It just doesn't save the, 3 minutes that it used to, because those are mostly already Big Artaria Skip. So.
In other words, you can skip the Atom Save Skip, but that doesn't skip the Atom Save Skip.
Correct. I hope you all wrote that down. This will be on the test. There we go. Reverse Atom Save Skip. Yippee-ki-yay. That's just a little speed strat. You could have just waited for the platform to come down, but it's faster to do that wall jump to get up there that way. Now, like Killer was saying, this whole sequence is just like going back and forth between this door to get to that button, to open that door to get to the next button, and so on. It's this whole sort of fetch quest, basically, of just going around Xoneris and sort of backtracking through a variety of rooms in different directions. And it's, again, there's a lot of really cool movement in this area, but we're now finally sort of moving on and actually getting out in the world again and doing some more stuff. Because this entire time we haven't been getting items or anything. There was like one E-Tank just now. That's the last E-Tank we're ever going to get. But now we can finally open this door, and I don't know why this button is directly in front of this door. The only thing that that button does is open that door. And it's just, it could have just not been there. I really don't know what's up with that. But in any event, that all gets us to the next region of the game, Dyron.
Yep.
Now these first 3 regions, Artaria, Xoneris, and Dyron, are sort of a big self-contained chunk of the game. The first maybe half hour of this speedrun, and much longer if you were playing casually, plays out just in these 3 areas. And then the game sort of rapidly expands from there. And the later areas are actually also significantly smaller than these 3, with one notable exception. But you also end up like revisiting these first 3 areas a million times, and there's late game items hidden places and things, that sort of thing.
It's a Metroid game. We love backtracking.
We sure do. We sure do.
It is a Metroidvania.
For this run, we will obviously be trying to minimize the backtracking, but it will be a little bit difficult to do so because the game really does force you to sort of go back and forth and run all these little errands. So for example, right now, like we're in Dyron and it's all great and we're about to get another new item and that's wonderful, but then once we have that item, we're just immediately going to go back to basically right where we were in Xoneris to get our next item, right? And it's sort of going to be like that for a little while. Again, maybe the first half hour or so. And then after that, it gets bigger, but the structure remains sort of the same, where we're going to have to like traverse back through 3 different areas to get somewhere once we've got a new item. So that backtracking element very much stays.
Yeah,
right
so
here.
Welcome to a dark room where you can pretty much see everything.
Yeah, it's pretty unimpressive. I remember when I was playing this casually, I always play with my monitor at minimum brightness. And so I couldn't see shit, but I ended up just turning the brightness up. And then as it turns out, it's kind of... you can just see things in this.
I mean, it's not really meant to obfuscate things. It's not like Dark Caves in Pokemon.
No.
You don't get HM Flash. It's just... they do want you to navigate this with what, in the darkness.
It's mostly an
It's
atmospheric storytelling thing.
Yeah. Where you have to turn the power on, and then all the doors and the lights and everything comes on. And what
Now
have
we
you.
got one of the cooler abilities, Wide Beam.
Love
it's
this
a
thing.
beam, but it's wide, but it does a lot.
Wide and beam happy.
Like
as they
open
say.
door.
Like open door. That's going to be a
Yes.
recurring theme. If you've ever played a Metroid game, you'll know that any item's like prime purpose is to open whatever door corresponds to that item. And Metroid Dread is very much in that school of thought. There's going to be lots of items later on that we get basically just as glorified keys. But for right now, the wide beam is actually like genuinely very useful because it just the fact that your shots are bigger, or I guess that there's more of them, however you want to look at it. It makes it so much easier to shoot things because you don't have to aim so well, which is really great.
By the way, there was a fast Emmy, but it went the wrong way. It's fine.
Yeah, that's totally consistent. Actually, it always spawns in
Yeah.
exactly the same place after the cutscene, so that's totally fine.
It's kind of
literally no
odd.
fear.
It's kind of odd how the fastest Emmy is kind of no big deal.
Yeah, he will be later.
Yeah,
he will
a
be
little bit.
later, but not for right now. No, but what I was going to say was the wide beam boxes that you've seen me like push around now that we've got the wide beam, those are really janky. There's only actually one more to do, but hopefully they'll all be kind. So far, the first two have been great. So I hope that trend continues because they can be really annoying where you'll shoot them dead on and it just won't work.
Yeah, like 2 of them will light up, but then the third one doesn't for some reason, even though you're shooting straight ahead. It's like...
Yep. Or they'll all
Excuse
light
me.
up and it'll just not move.
That too.
That also
Oh, yeah.
just happens. But luckily, if you take your time, it's usually okay. Like the reason it doesn't work is because you were like slightly moving or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
so like you're 1 pixel off and
Exactly.
it has to be dead on.
But so if you just don't move at all while you're standing in front of them, it's usually fine. Now right here, we're coming up on another Turbo Omega stream moment. So if you don't like flashing lights, look away. If you do like flashing lights, please keep watching. It's hilarious. I tried to skip the cutscene a little bit early there, so we got a quick look at the options menu. We hopefully won't be doing that again. If we ever look at the options menu again, it's one of two things. Either a misinput or I discovered a new soft lock. Really hope neither of those things happen again.
Another funny thing about the Omega Beam is that apparently if you mash or just use the turbo controls instead of holding the button for the automatic fire, you basically shoot at the same pace, but the first shot somehow is stronger.
You'll also see that if you just like fire it normally by just holding the button. There's a big like explosive effect when you first start firing, and then all of the other ones sort of just like little straight shots. They don't have that big circle around them, and so that sort of visual effect that's causing the photosensitivity issue, which you can look again, by the way. That little like explosive circle around Samus's cannon, that's what indicates that shot is stronger. That disappears after the first shot, but because we're doing it with turbo, it reappears constantly and it looks awful.
This is also one of my favorite things about Metroid Dread is how weirdly late you get the Morph Ball, the item that you tend to start with in Metroid games.
Yep.
And Morph Ball is great in this
I
game.
love Morph Ball. So good.
You just immediately you can slide into a spot that the Morph Ball is used, and if you then just get stuck there, it's like, nope, you just automatic Morph Ball.
It's wonderful.
You can jump with it right away.
It's very smooth. Like it allows you to do a lot of shenanigans. Also, it's just like you can do like Metroid 1 style morph ball jumps and this sort of thing. You can even use it to like climb up a wall infinitely by just sort of wall jumping, morphing, unmorphing with like clever timing. It's really cool. But it's also a little bit tricky. Metroid Dread is like this a lot, where it's really smooth and cool and like intuitive with the ledge grabs and the sliding around and all this stuff. But when you sort of have to get a deeper understanding of it, it's also deeply weird. And so, for example, like the nuances of when to slide versus morph and when to mantle up a ledge versus jump up it with a wall jump or what have you are all sort of, they're intricate, but they're also just like counterintuitive at times if you actually are trying to maximize for speed. So it can get very strange, and the morph ball is a great example of that, where it's like, it's not janky, right? If you're a casual player, this is not a janky item, but it kind of is janky a little bit on the inside, right? Like it wants to be janky. Anyway, having gotten the morph ball, we now need to escape a sort of rising tide of heat that's going to pop up when I accidentally break this machinery like the buffoon that I am. And then having done that, we will immediately get an item that will protect us from such heat, because great timing. And then we'll go back down this room in order to actually progress. And while we're doing all of that, feel free to read a donation.
It will be my absolute pleasure. So first of all, we got €5 from our friend Howlin Mad Mike, or Howlin _Mad _ Mike, saying, "Hello friends, home safe and sound, as is Daddy Pig, who is now safely away from KillerChair's throwing arm. Thank you to all at BSG for having me. Very much looking forward to seeing you again in the future. Putting this towards the Rayman language incentive because for some reason, I can't quite ascertain. Italian is winning by a massive margin. Love you all and go BSG."
I miss that pig plushie.
We got time for another one?
Absolutely, go for it.
We have an absolutely amazing €100 from...
No, this is 80%. This is 80%.
Ama and her humans, saying, "Go, go, go, DTail74. Hugs from everyone at Ama's home. Love it that you all use your gaming to raise money for Mind." Thank you so much for that generous donation. And yeah, shoutouts to Howlin _ Mad _ Mike. And with that, back to you guys.
Thank you. So yeah, like I said, we got the Varia suit, right? This protects us against heat. That's going to be very important. Cataris is basically the equivalent to Norfair in the like Metroid 1 and Super Metroid, or what's it called in Prime? Help me out.
I haven't played Prime 1.
There's a
or
Norfair
2.
I
equivalent in
didn't
Prime.
get far enough.
Forget it. In any event, that to say, it's caves and it's hot and there's lava and there's worms in the lava and there's lava in the worms, and it's just terrible all the way down. So the Varia suit will be a big help here, right? All of these rooms that have this orange glow to them would be causing passive damage over time, excuse me, if I didn't have the Varia suit. So that's a big help. Especially because there's a boss fight in here that we really need to do, and the boss arena is the heat room, so, you know, it's kind of important.
Guess who's back?
It's
Kraid.
Kraid.
Oh my gosh.
Back
Kraid.
again, as he always is. Although
Yeah.
I really still don't understand the lore, I'm going to be honest. I'm very confused.
I mean, as far as I understood it, a Kraid isn't a guy, it's a species of guy, so this is a different Kraid, but like,
Right.
I don't know.
But like the one in Metroid 1 and Super are the same Kraid. I'm pretty sure. Because it's like a space pirate general or whatever. I don't know. I'm not a lore guy. I'm just a fast guy.
Maybe it's a big boss kind of situation. Maybe it's just a clone.
Maybe. Could be that. Are you implying Kraid is Solid Snake?
No, I'm actually implying he's big boss.
Same
Wild.
thing.
No. Mm-mm. Don't get me started.
Can you tell I've never played a Metal Gear game? Anyway, Kraid died unceremoniously and quickly, as he tends to. Love that for me. And that's going to give us the diffusion beam. So the diffusion beam here is an upgrade to the charge beam. It's going to make it so that our shots explode when they hit things. And that can reach through walls, which is great because we could already reach through walls.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's still very much useful. It just means that we don't need to do like long, complicated setups to hit blocks like this with a pseudo wave, and instead we can just shoot them the way that they were supposed to, which is great. It also just means that our charge shot does more damage in a bigger area. It's just generally useful. We're also going to use it to do a couple skips later on, including one where we're actually still going to do a pseudo wave, but with the diffusion beam added on top to actually reach even further, which is going to be really cool. So look out for that. But having gotten that, we now take this teleporter to go get the grappling beam. And this is one of those sections in the game where we just sort of have to bounce around a couple areas just to get another upgrade.
Yeah,
So we're
it's a
taking
brief
this
in and out.
teleporter to Dairen, then we're taking an elevator from Dairen to Artaria, and then we're taking that same elevator back up again.
Yeah.
And then we can move on. And it's all sort of silly. But that's par for the course with Metroid Dread. That's very much how it goes. And so one of the cool things that I really like about this game is how different visits to the same room are always drastically different. In some cases, you know, you're just in a different part of the room, so of course it's going to be different movement and things. Or you might just be going through it in a different direction, which can matter if the room isn't perfectly symmetrical. or you've just picked up a new item that helps you get through the room a little differently. And so there's a lot of cool stuff going on with just sort of getting to immerse yourself in the same setting differently multiple times and then sort of approaching it from different angles, sometimes literally, which is something I really appreciate about this game, casually as well as for speedruns. This particular section, though, that long lava room we were just in, we do a trick called early grapple beam, where we do a coyote jump by sliding off of a ledge to get a little bit of extra air time that we can still jump in to actually make it across that big pool of lava. And we're going to do a very similar but much easier thing on the way back. But unfortunately, you have to just sort of roll through that tunnel as the morph ball on both visits, and so that room's kind of Have to kill that bat because otherwise it's going to get in my way on the way back. That's another cool example of how all of this sort of flows together. That bat just happens not to respawn, so it's a little bit faster to kill him now than it is on the second visit in 2 seconds. Now, doing early grapple, unsurprisingly, gets us the grapple beam. Yippee!
The grapple beam does several things. Pull blocks, as you can see, open doors, you can grab onto things. You could also grab onto these walls that we can hang on to.
Yep.
The grapple beam is kind of a multi-tool in this game.
It also does negligible amounts of damage,
Yeah,
which is really funny.
true.
If you stand and just like keep grappling enemies for long enough, eventually they will die. Not robotic enemies, though. Those are immune to it for some reason. They're also immune to regular gunfire, to be fair, but, you know.
Anything to add, Philippe Jr.?
Well said.
Yeah, excellent. Agreed.
Somebody get this man like a clarinet or something. I need elevator music.
Yeah.
Anyway, with the grappling beam in tow, we are now going to head west through Dyron. If you recall, this is the region where we picked up the wide beam way back when, right? Obviously, we've advanced since then, and so we can now make our way sort of to the west end to get to the exit to our next new region. And we're finally going to sort of break up this trinity of Dyron, Artaria, and Cataris, which is wonderful. Hi, Adam.
Hi, Adam. Bye,
Hi, Adam. Oh, yep, movement, yep. Anyway, nobody saw that. With the grappling beam, I can sort of grab onto these ceilings to make this room go a little bit faster. Aaron is luckily very far out of the way. Love that for me. You can tell where he is based on sound cues, which is a really cute little detail. Like the amount of sort of difference between like how he sounds when he's in different spawn locations is it's wonderful that they paid that much attention to it. It's not just like that you can tell what direction the sound is coming from if you're on like a good sound setup either. That's not even it. He genuinely has like different little lines of beebly boobly that he says, which is not necessarily true for all spawns. Some of the spawns have the same beebly boobly as some of the other ones, but it does help. And so it's a really quick way to tell. So for example, for that sound that I just heard, I barely need to pay attention to the position because I already know that it's going to be fine. Because if the sound is that long, it means that he wasn't able to hear me enter the room, which means he's really far away. So that's great.
So why is someone called Aaron?
All of the names that I use for the different Emmys, and it really is a me thing personally, are derived from the regions that they inhabit. So the Dyron Emmy is Aaron, the Artaria Emmy is Berea, and so on and so forth. The reason I do that is because I'm colorblind, and so it's a little bit difficult for me to tell every once in a while the difference between certain Emmys and certain lighting. And at this point, you know, I've been playing the game for so long, obviously I know which Emmy lives where just because I've heard people talk about them by their colors. But just like, out of principle, it's like I don't like to use color for like differentiating between things in video games because it doesn't work for me half the time. So I actually just gave them names instead, which I wish that was a more widespread practice, but alas. I can tell the difference between most of them pretty well, especially because they also do actually have slightly different like shapes and animations and things in some cases. But particularly the difference between the green and the yellow Emmy when they're standing still is something that I did struggle with when I was starting out and when I wasn't able to just tell from context cues. Because like at this point, you could like show me a screenshot of just like a tiny corner of anything that appears in any percent, and I could tell you like, oh well, based on this lighting and that background object, that's obviously the west end of Dyron.
So what you're saying is we should make Metroid Red GeoGuessr.
We should do that.
That would be awesome.
And I will play it, and I will be cracked at it. In fact, I'm doing something vaguely like that on my stream next Saturday. More on that when we're done. I'll give a plug. It's going to be very fun. So you should check out my stream. Anyway, we finally reached our 4th area, and this is, the monotony of the first 3 is getting broken up a little bit. This is Barinia. It's wet, cold, and generally a little annoying. Water levels are not anybody's favorite, from what I know, and Metroid Dread is really no exception. Barinia, before you get the ability to move freely in water, is just a real pain in the ass. You have to just be slow, and you have to wait for like cycles on enemies and that sort of a thing, and it's just like sort of icky and yucky. But on the plus side, it does have some really cool movement in it. I've not been doing a great job so far, but there's many more visits to Barinia with many more cool bits of movement. In fact, much cooler bits coming up a little bit later in our 2nd visit here. So that should be fun. I'll get a chance to redeem myself there. In any event, we're here to get the flash shift item. And this is one of those cases where we're just going to get an item and immediately leave the area again, as we tend to. But the flash shift is at least a very cool item. This is a lot of people's favorite or close to favorite item in the game.
Yeah.
And I can understand that. It's very, very low on the list for me because I hate this stupid thing. But I am the exception.
I don't like how it's... isn't it like L3 by default?
No, it's A.
It's A?
So the right
Oh, right.
button.
It was... The stealth thing was L3, right?
I'll be honest, I don't know which of the bumpers and triggers is which number.
Oh, like pressing on the stick. Because I just remember
in
like
that sense.
struggling.
Yeah. No, Phantom Cloak is left stick click. Yeah, that's true.
It was always annoying trying to do a
It
slide
is,
and then
it
into
is.
Phantom Cloak.
You do get used to it with time. I think that binding ends up making a good amount of sense. Sorry, it's
It
actually...
does.
No. It's not that button. Wait a minute. Hang on. No, left stick click is speed booster. See, the thing is, I play with my hands. Right? I've been doing this for
can
so
relate.
long. I don't know what button does what. I just do it, right? I don't have to think about which button is the Phantom Cloak. I just activate the Phantom Cloak with my telekinetic mind powers.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to know these things. This is for mortals.
So
Anyway.
anyway, this is the water bomb jump. For some reason, when you hit yourself with the bomb underwater, you can kind of, if you unmorph while you're in the air from the morph ball, it kind of maintains a little bit of height for when you then jump and bounce off a ball later. So you can kind of get extended amounts of heights underwater.
Very useful. We're going to be doing that 3 more times.
Yeah. This
Because-
one saved several seconds.
Yeah, this is easily the least important one. This is just like... Doing this saves like 10 seconds over
Yeah.
doing it casually. And there's another strat here that just like... It does still do the underwater bomb jump, but it sets it up in a different way. That would save another like 5 or 10 seconds over this one. But, all the same. What we can do by doing that bomb jump is there's the tunnel at the top that you're supposed to take to actually get to the right side of that room.
Yeah.
And so we don't have to do that. That's all it does.
But later, the water bomb jump trick is going to save a lot of time.
Several minutes, in fact.
Yeah.
So look out for that. For now, though, I have to get chased by a robot, as always. And this is just going to be another section where I'm going to get chased by a robot, I'm going to pick up a world-destroying device, and I'm going to use it to destroy this robot, and we're going to get a new item.
Yeah.
We've done this before. Feel free to read something.
Like a book.
Yeah.
Like a book.
Or a donation.
Oh, better.
Yeah. We got €3 from someone saying, "Hello again. Thanks for the amusing run. I'm glad Philip Jr. and Philip Jr. Jr. were able to rise to the occasion and bake my place. I do apologize for being unable to stay until the end, but I enjoyed. However, I could be there. Having an amazing time, you all, and see you all on Saturday."
Thanks, someone. I love your puns.
They always do this. Always. First it was elevator jokes. I don't even remember what it was last year.
I don't know. I don't know
I
anymore.
think it
but
was also bread jokes,
They
because we
were-
also had bread.
those
course.
elevator jokes were wrong on so many levels.
I think I know exactly when you made that joke in 2022. I'm pretty sure that was in the elevator down to get the grapple beam.
Yeah.
Can somebody pull up the VOD? I want to know. I think that's when that was. Anyway.
Speed booster. This is really cool.
This is my favorite upgrade in the game. I love this thing. Speed Booster is a classic, has been for a long time. It's basically the coolest item in every Metroid game it's been in, but certainly in Metroid Dread. You can keep the Speed Booster once it's active through like running over slopes, jumping up walls, morph ball, all sorts of things, and you can do shenanigans with the Shine Spark out the wazoo. I actually shouldn't have grabbed that E-Tank.
Yeah, I was gonna say, didn't you say the last one?
No, I wasn't supposed to grab it. I just like fully wasn't paying attention. All right, well, I guess we're playing it safe.
Safety, yeah, why not?
Unironically, that is kind of nice. It is certainly possible to die on some of the later bosses if you only have 2 E-Tanks, so that's pretty nice.
And it
Actually
is
lost
one
like
of the
2
closest
seconds.
ones as well.
It lost like 5 seconds. That E-Tank is pretty slow, but all the same. No, the Speed Booster's just wonderful. In any percent, since you're sort of like rapidly going from place to place, and we're not really going to enter into the like late game backtracking with full upgrades sort of a stage, the Speed Booster's not going to get maybe as much of a time to shine as it does in like casual playthroughs or certainly in Hundo. So if you like the Speed Booster, if you like the sort of bouncing around and getting a Shine Spark here and carrying it over there and then zooming up into the corner and whatever, that sort of stuff, go watch a Hundo run. They're absolutely fantastic, and they do a lot of that. There's a lot of Speed Booster shenanigans in the longer categories of this game. But for any percent, it's going to be fairly limited. We are going to do things like this, where I'm going to like get a Shine Spark and then go up here and use it up here, that sort of a thing.
Yep.
But it's a little more basic. It's still difficult, though, so I'm glad I got it. But it's not nearly as flashy as some of the stuff that they do in other categories.
We're also going to use the Shine Spark for this guy.
Yeah, he's not going to know what hit him. This is one of the sort of main use cases of the Shine Spark, actually, for any percent, is just the fact that it does a shit ton of damage when you hit things with it. And so there's a lot of bosses that we're just going to ram face first into as our main means of dealing damage to them. So that guy, 2 Shine Sparks, he's dead. Great, we're done. We can move on.
My favorite little thing about the Shine Spark is that there's one specific spot where you get this cool cinematic camera if you use the Shine Spark directly upwards. But if you do it in morph ball form, you kind of don't get the cinematic camera, and it saves time.
Yep. It's like a full second faster.
Yeah.
Reason for that is the way that the camera turns and like gives this cool cinematic view, in order to sort of facilitate getting like the correct angles and things, the animations for starting up the Shine Spark and for like, I guess, winding down once you've hit the ceiling in all of the locations where that happens are slightly longer to sort of give a little bit of extra buffer time for the camera to like pan back out and what have you. And so it's faster to just not do that. Which is interesting because usually ball sparks are actually much slower, or a little slower than Shine Sparking as regular Samus, because as regular Samus, you actually have the ability to activate your Shine Spark instantaneously without the little charge up timer. You can do that in a variety of different ways. I've done it a couple times now by, for example, meleeing before activating the Shine Spark. There's a couple different ways to do it. But as Morph Ball, no such luck. You can't do anything that does that. And so in most cases where you could Ball Spark, you'd actually rather just be Samus and do it that way. But there's still a lot of places where we are going to Ball Spark just because it's useful to do specifically that, because obviously your hitbox is smaller and it has its own little properties, right? So that's actually coming up as well. We're going to do some Speed Booster shenanigans in Barinia here, and then that's going to end in a Ball Spark, which is going to be pretty cool. This is what I was talking about earlier when I said that when we'd come back to this region, there'd be some more cool stuff to do. So hopefully I won't mess it up this time. But yeah, we got the Speed Booster, and then we headed up to Farinia for a very brief visit where we fought that robot soldier. There was a long cutscene. It's like actually like 3 minutes. It's crazy that we skipped, where there's a bunch of lore exposition and stuff, and then our uncle gets shot. It's a whole thing, but you know, who cares about any of that? And so having done all of that, there's now a big door that's open here in Barinia, so we can actually move on into the north end of it and head to the next region. Yay! Another new region. They're actually coming in sort of quickly now, which is great, because like I said, the first good chunk of the game really is contained pretty much within the first 3. So it's nice that we're getting a little bit more variation now. Oh, dang it. Jumped a little bit too early. Anyway, this is what I was talking about, where we're going to just and then I'm going to get a Shine Spark here, and this door, and I'm going to run through the door and flash shift and
Very
Detail
nice.
makes this all look so easy, but
It's not.
there's a time limit on those. Like, you have to move smoothly,
Yeah.
and also, like, you have to bounce off the walls perfectly, and if you don't, you just lose it immediately. There's so much nuance to it.
Now we're going to do the thing where we shoot our beam through the wall at a very specific angle so that the diffusion explosion hits the little block on the other end,
Yep.
allowing us to skip an entire boss fight.
Unfortunately, it's not possible to just do like a regular pseudo wave shot that hits that block. You have to use the diffusion beam to extend your reach.
Yeah.
And that can get a little bit finicky. It's just a very particular angle, which is why I was pause buffering it, right? That's, I guess, the only other time we do actually go into the pause menu, although that's the actual pause menu, not the options menu. So I was still technically correct half an hour ago. But, you know, what I do is I open the pause menu so that I can set up my angle without actually affecting Samus at all. And then I let go of gun before I even unpause. And so then when I unpause, the angle of the gun and the fact that I've let it go are both going to take effect at the same time, allowing us to get a very specific angle without Samus actually moving around in any sort of a way that could mess it up. So it is possible to do that trick unbuffered. Many people do. There's a variety of setups for it, but I like to do it this way. Dang it. There's a really cool thing there where if you take that speed booster and you ride on that ramp, you can actually get all the way up to the top and grab onto the very top part of that grabbable wall.
Yep.
It's very difficult, though. I don't usually get it.
So
Got it
the-
during practice earlier.
So for this guy, you have to set up a shine spark outside because you don't have enough space on the inside, and afterwards you just kind of tank him and blast him with missiles.
There is a cool glitch you can do that's sort of akin to the short charges that you might be familiar with if you know anything about Super Metroid, where you can actually get a Shine Spark in a much smaller area than you would normally be able to. And it is possible to do that in that room and build a Shine Spark there. It's difficult to set up that glitch while he's shooting at you. So I don't know if anybody actually ever does that. I also don't know if it would really save any time
No.
to
Hi,
get a
Adam,
second
bye,
Shine
Adam.
Spark. Hi, Adam. Bye, Adam. So I don't know if there's even any reason to do that. I don't know if anybody does do that, but it is technically possible,
Yeah.
which is cool. There is also a
Alright.
different route for any % NMG that would use that glitch to actually get the screw attack very early, even earlier than we're going to do, and we are going to get
Yeah.
it pretty early.
I'm gonna need a little help from the audience here because we just picked up the super missile, and I want you all to point and laugh at the super missile.
Please, ridicule it.
Because the super missile is bad.
It's so shit.
It's horrible.
Very, very sad.
It's
It's really bad.
this is the kid that deserved to get bullied.
So super missile is technically per shot stronger, but you shoot it so much slower that getting this power up is a DPS loss.
It's ridiculous.
But it's a key, so we need it.
We need it to open doors.
We have already passed every required instance of using the super missiles that we're going to have. If it weren't for one funny little asterisk to that, which is that there is still one regular missile door here in Elan, the next place we're going to go. And since we don't have the regular missiles anymore because the super missiles override them, we need to use a super missile to open that door, even though it's not technically necessary. But all of the super missile doors that we're going to open, we've already opened.
Yeah.
It was 3 of them.
It's bad.
It's so pitiful.
And you also can't go back to the normal missiles. You're just stuck with the super missiles now.
Yep.
Yeah.
So sad.
The extra sad part about that is, though, we're only actually stuck with them for all of 2 seconds. We are going to get one upgrade right here in this region, and then as soon as we leave it, we are going to immediately get a 3rd missile that's going to override the super missiles again. And so it's just... It's not here for a long time, and it's also not here for a good time. I'm really not
No.
sure why it is here. Hello.
Yeah.
Guess I wanted to go back up. Elon here is another section where there's a lot of like cool movement involving the morph ball. Nice. That flash shift is a lot harder than it looks to get over that enemy. But there's a lot of cool like tunnel movement and that
That's
sort
a
of stuff.
normal door, normal
Yeah,
missile door.
That was the normal missile door in question. That's going to be the last required use of the super missiles that you're going to see.
Yep.
We are going to keep using it, though. We wouldn't have usually, I say usually, we wouldn't have before. If you've seen me run the game at other events before, that would have been the last time I would have needed to fire any super missiles. However, because of the changes that were made to the turbo rules that I was talking about at the start of the run, there's going to be one central unit fight coming up later where we're now actually going to weave in a couple missiles into our regular gunfire, which didn't used to be allowed. And so that's just a tiny little damage increase, but that is technically going to be another 2, maybe 3 uses of the super missiles in that fight. But it's not required, again. So the super missiles are still pathetic, and you should still point and laugh.
Absolutely.
Anyway, that boss fight went by in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, what boss fight?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Don't worry, there's 2 more of those.
Oh, yeah.
Plasma beam does go kind of hard on that, especially with the turbo.
Yeah, it's crazy. He also just has, like, no health. Even, like, casually, that fight does not take very long. But it's supposed to be like an introduction, right? The later versions of that fight are going to get way harder.
Yeah.
Speaking of introduction, going into this area and opening the gate set free the rest of the X-Parasites. And now we have the
But I-
X-Parasites back in the universe.
But I thought they were extinct.
Oh my god, it's crazy. Just like the Metroids every other game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remembered for once that there was a cutscene there, and then I screwed up the input to skip it.
Yeah.
Embarrassing.
That was the R.I.P. Bird Uncle cutscene.
No, that was the zombification cutscene.
Oh yeah, no, you're right.
We had the cutscene where he gets shot. That was in Farinia earlier.
Yeah. Hi Adam, bye Adam.
Hi, Adam. Bye, Adam. We already hi Adam, bye Adam'd through that room a little bit earlier as well,
Yeah.
but we have to do it again because we have to go
Yeah.
back up here. Because now we have the plasma beam, so we can open this door and head up into the northeast end of this area, where
Also-
we're going to do another underwater bomb jump.
Also, this Emmy you saw here is going to be the one that saves us from Super Missile.
Sure is. Everything's fine. I didn't
Yeah.
almost fall in the worst room to fall in the
No,
entire
you're
game or
fine.
anything.
All right. So you can just about set up a Shine Spark into this room, which gets rid of the encasing, and then you just do the normal thing afterwards.
Photosensitivity warning.
Yep.
It's so awful. It's actually only going to get worse because this particular Emmy, as we're shooting it, this room is so big that the game lags if you do a Turbo Omega stream here. So it's even worse for your eyes, and it's awful. To the point where actually using Turbo on this particular Omega stream shot is only barely faster than not doing it. It's way the hell faster in terms of like how much damage you do. But because the game lags, it's not actually all that great. Yeah, that's my bad. Hang on, I got it.
Oh, nice. Get him.
Anyway,
Very nice.
Let's go.
this game ain't got nothing on me.
So now we're saved from the Super Missile, and we get the Ice Missile. Ice Missile, good. We like Ice Missile.
Very good. So the ice missiles, it's another damage increase. They do even more damage than super missiles. Their fire rate goes back to normal, and also they have the ice property, so they can freeze stuff, which we need for progression. But these are going to be good. These are going to be like actively good for like boss fights and things in a way that the super missiles could only hope to be. Again, the super missiles saw like a little bit of use in that central unit just because of missile weaving, but like whatever.
Yeah.
The ice missiles we're actually sort of going to care about because there's a couple enemies or a couple bosses later on that are going to be immune to regular gunfire. And so we will just want to use missiles for those. And so the ice missiles are better for that job than super missiles. But also, there are other bosses where we're going to do more missile weaving, just like on that central unit. And so again, the ice missiles are going to be better at that. So that's all great. Basically, every boss from here on out, if I don't just instantly dispatch it with a Shine Spark, we're going to do some combination of missile shots with something else. Okay. This transporter out of the east end of Gavaran is going to bring us back to Farinia, which we visited briefly to meet and then immediately watch Birduncle die. This time, though, we are here to actually get an item instead of just like do some story stuff. We're going to pick up the space jump, which is wonderful. But I will have to do a somewhat difficult trick to get it. We're going to enter the room that the space jump is in through the back door in order to get into where the item actually is. And that's going to necessitate I do a very annoying series of wall jumps and bombs to actually get in there. It'll make sense in a second.
And there are a couple of ways of getting in there, because people figured out different methods of obtaining this that you're not allowed to do. And this is the
I'm the goat.
Wow, that's
this
incredible.
Is, yeah, the bomb jumps and
That's much
wall
harder
jumps
than I
and
made it
such.
look.
I've
yeah.
seen people get stuck on that for like 2 solid minutes.
Yeah. No,
I
got
think
space jump.
I think over the last 3 years, I must have actually 50 hours
Yeah.
of just grinding that trick out, which is
So-
why I am this good at it.
And the other method of obtaining is just through shooting diffusion beams through the floors at a weird angle at an enemy at a very specific part of the animation of the idle animation of the enemy. So it's just a weird, finicky one. I used to do that, but I wasn't consistent at it anyway.
It's a very difficult strat as
Yeah.
well, but both options are very difficult.
Yeah.
The pseudo-wave version is slightly faster, and I've heard more people say that it's more consistent than the other strat
Huh.
for the pseudo-wave, but opinions are very divided on that.
Yeah.
It's really personal preference. And so for me, I started speedrunning this game basically as soon as it came out, and it took us a little while to actually develop that pseudo-wave setup at the time, whereas we found this very soon into the game's lifespan. And so I've sort of just stuck with it because I got very good at it very quickly. It just sort of came very naturally, and I kept grinding at it at first. So I've never bothered to learn the other one. I fully just don't even know how it works. Well, like I know the basics of what a pseudo-wave is, right? But
Yeah.
I don't know what the setup actually looks like. I've never bothered. Don't need it.
Ultimately, both really hard to do.
Yes, very much so. Very glad that I got that first try.
Hi, Adam, bye, Adam.
Hi, Adam. Bye, Adam. Here I'm going to do some more speed booster shenanigans. Again, fairly tame. This is any %, but it is still kind of cool. Oh,
I like it when salmons go fast.
dang it. I messed it up. Don't look. It's embarrassing. Anyway,
More teleporters.
more teleporters. It's only going to get worse. So we have so many regions unlocked now, and the sort of actual transporters, like elevators and things, between them are not the only thing. There's teleporters that just head in impossible directions. And so at this point, we're just trying to get like from item to item to just beat the game as fast as possible, obviously. And so we're going to be mostly using these teleporters to get around long distances to wherever it is that we need to go. And so a lot of the upcoming few sections are going to be spending a lot of time with the screen looking like this, which is another reason that I'm very glad that I actually moved the game to the system memory, because like not only is it just like good for my time, it's also just it's nice. I don't have to spend as much time looking at Samus glowing. Like it's well, I mean, she actually glows for most of this speedrun, to be honest, because of the speed booster and the charge shot and all that stuff, but I digress.
She also glows because of her radiant aura of being cool.
This is
That
true.
is very true.
Also,
Yeah.
there's literally lights on her suit. I
Yeah,
forgot about that
it's fine.
now that I'm thinking about it. But anyway, here's those cold rooms that I was talking about way at the start of the run. We're just going to have to damage tank through a couple of those in order to get to where the screw attack is, which, like I said before, we're going to sequence break our way to.
Screw attack in this game is awesome. It goes so
good.
hard.
It's amazing. And this trick, this whole setup, this entire room is very hard to learn.
This is one of the hardest things when you're starting out.
Yeah. Because you have to do this water bomb jump first, which is already hard, and then you have to like wedge yourself
yeah.
kind of under that one block, space jump out of it, because for some reason you get additional height when you just come out of under a different block, and then you can jump kind of around it. And then you do even more water bomb jumps.
There's another one after this.
And then you have to do the other water bomb jump we did earlier again to get out of the room.
Not necessarily. That's only if you fall.
Yeah,
You do
fair
have
enough.
to do the funny jump at the top of the water, though.
Yeah,
I definitely feel a lot when I try to run this game.
for sure.
This is one of the hardest things to learn when you're just starting out. But not to flex, but I've
Yeah.
done it so much that it's just like totally trivial at this point. It's like you just do the trick, forehead.
Yeah.
Anyway, now I do get to do something cool and new that I only learned recently, which is I'm going to do a funny little setup right here with the diffusion beam. Oops.
Yep.
Nice.
That one's very funny. It looks like you clip through the floor as it rotates. That actually doesn't happen because that floor doesn't actually physically rotate. It just instantly changes where the collision is, like from one frame to the next.
So in
And
that
so it's fine.
in that 1 minute of gameplay, we did so many things you're not supposed to do.
So much.
It's
So great.
very trick glitch dense sequence of stuff.
That is going to slow down a little bit from here, though. The next maybe minute and a half or so, we're mostly going to spend looking like this.
Yeah.
I need the Star Trek theme. That's
This
what
is
I need.
the teleporter section.
Energize.
I guess if Xoneris wants to talk to us about something, we got some time
That
now.
would be fantastic.
Yay, I'm glad when people want me to talk to them.
Anytime, buddy.
So, I want to tell you guys about some upcoming incentives for tomorrow. For example, we got Sonic Colors Ultimate, where people can donate towards the music choice, where you all can either listen to the original soundtrack or the remixed soundtrack, which is pretty nice. And
There is a correct choice.
There is a correct choice. Yeah, absolutely. Not that I would know, but sure there is one. There is also the Soul Flame color choice. So basically, it sounds fancy, but it's basically just the color that you will see a lot from the protagonist of the game in Evergate. Also tomorrow, where you can choose between black, blue, green, purple, red, white, and yellow. Which now I'm like, yeah, there's a correct choice here. And we also got some language choices for Rayman 3. Hondlum Havoc, any percent. We got English, French, German, Italian, and Spanish.
Spanish or Vanish.
Spanish or Vanish. So another apparently correct choice people should take. If you want to donate, you can put your amount of donation to any of these incentives and some other ones that I didn't specifically mention, because we have a lot of very cool incentives. So if you want to donate, or if you just want to watch incentives because you're curious, there's a command in chat, which I believe is ! Bid War incentives or something. Or you can just head over to the donation page where they will be listed anyway. So one of each works.
And you should go to the donation page to donate to a good cause.
Absolutely.
Exactly what the KillerChair said there. Because at the end of the day, we're still raising money here for charity, for Mind. Currently 6,178 euros have we collected so far. And hopefully that amount will still go up a tiny bit more during the rest of this event. So yeah, with that, back to you guys.
Thank you for talking over my terrible failure. Unfortunately, apparently there's some more of it.
Yeah, this door is a little annoying.
I hate this door.
It is.
I hate this door.
It's really rough.
The fact that I hate this door is going to come up again in that mysterious plug that I alluded to earlier. Anyway, the reason we're back here in Barinia after taking all of those long and stupid teleporters is to get the gravity suit. So we're finally going to be allowed to move in water like a normal person.
Whoa.
And by person, I mean fish.
Is Samus also a fish?
God,
At this
she's
point, I wouldn't
already
be surprised.
she?
She's so many things right now.
Honestly.
I
Also,
mean,
that Shine Spark is obligatory, right? Like, that's not some sequence breaking.
no, you just have to do that. We did it
It's
in a
just really
very
hard.
weird way, but yeah, you do have to do that.
Yeah.
Like, when I was playing this casually, I didn't know you could just Shine Spark into a slope and keep it. So I had no idea what to do there.
It says it in the tooltip.
You think I read?
You think gamers read?
You think I can read?
This instruction would be helpful to me if I could read.
That sign won't stop me.
Exactly.
Anyway, now that we have the gravity suit, we're just going to make our way... We're going to make our way... We're going to make our way up so we can fight some more of these robot dudes. Now, I have to do some very particular positioning here, so I'm going to focus up, actually. Oh,
Yeah, you want them to
shoot.
not jump down ever. And we can tank the damage just fine.
Nobody cares about the damage. That was kind of ugly, unfortunately. What you want is for them to line up, right? It's because your shots pierce enemies at this point. That's what the plasma beam does. And so if you just 20 hertz turbo mow them down, they don't last. They don't last at all. But if they split up, then obviously it takes more time because you have to take twice as long to shoot two separate dudes. So it's a whole mess. The way that would work, what I was trying to do is if you just stand very, very close, basically inside the rightmost one, then the leftmost one is never going to jump down, which is great. But unfortunately, the rightmost one decided to do that big like punch attack, which launches him forward a whole bunch. And so at that point, now I'm to the left of the rightmost one because he's gone through me. And with that positioning, that causes the AI of the leftmost one to say, oh, I should probably jump down. Which, no, you shouldn't. You should not do that. But, you know, so be it. Now we have another difficult boss fight coming up, and I'm actually going to go quiet for this one, because,
Yeah, this one is rough because you need a sequence of like multiple shine sparks to do it optimally. So this is a boss that transforms into more boss and then into even more boss. And the more shine spark you can get going, the better it gets.
let's go.
It's also really tight to actually have enough room to charge it up.
Yeah.
Four Sparkle Zuna, let's go.
There
Let's
we
go.
That's so hard.
Now we get another one of those power-ups that makes you wonder, why?
If Speed Booster is my favorite item in the game, and Flash Shift is like my most overrated item in the game, Cross Bombs is just the worst item in the game by every metric, and I have yet to find anyone who disagrees. This item is just so awful.
It used to be kind of useful on the final boss if you were really good at weaving it in between shooting them with missiles and such. But again, turbo controller upgrade.
We don't need it anymore with the turbo cap increase. It's just not worth it to take time off of regular gunfire anymore. It used to be.
So you
but
only
not
use the
anymore.
cross bombs to get out of the room where you fight that boss.
Pretty much that. There is one more required use of the cross bombs. In Farina, in a cold room, there's a sequence of bomb blocks that you have to blow up, and it's too many to do anything else. You could do some severely screwed up shenanigans to actually just like wedge yourself in between two bomb blocks and then slowly climb your way up. You don't technically need them, but that's finicky and mostly slow.
Yeah.
And it very much is like vanilla intended to require cross bombs. Oh, nice. I got the fast thing. Let's go.
Nice.
That's tough. That's actually like, you only have a couple of frames to do that. That's like weirdly difficult for saving like half a second.
We also did a cool thing right there.
Yeah, that was a pseudo grapple. The only one that you're going to see in this run. Other categories would do more. It's just a pseudo wave using the grapple beam, but the exact properties of how it works and what we do to make it work are a little bit different. For a regular pseudo wave, it's just that the arm cannon clips out of bounds. For pseudo grapples, in order to get into that grapple beam block and grab it from the other side, just clipping into the wall wouldn't be enough because the block has a different sort of collision than a regular wall. But so, because the block is actually empty at the backside, and Metroid Dread is a fully like 3D functional game, it just only uses some of those dimensions. If you do that funny little spin around that I did, you can actually wedge the grappling beam into the back end of the block and grab it that way.
It's kind of like you're using the 3D space to kind of just zoom the grapple around.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It's actually kind of funny. There used to be a trick where, I'm pretty sure it was patched, Axis Q, where you could have Samus face to the camera or away from it, and you can just run towards the camera and charge up your Shine Spark in place.
Okay.
No.
Dang it.
Unfortunate. But yeah, that's a really cool but also very hard trick.
Yeah. Access Q still gets used in any % unrestricted or other categories that are allowed to use it. But you're right, since that did get patched, we're not allowed to do it in this category. And also, it's so huge that even if it didn't get patched, I'm pretty sure we would have probably banned it.
I would say it's pretty major, yeah.
It's huge. It's what allows us to, well, it and Invincibility Glitch together allows us to beat the game suitless. You don't need to get Varia Suit or Gravity Suit because of those two glitches, which is really cool.
It's so cool that you can do that.
It is. It's so awesome. We found that very soon, actually. That's like, I want to say that was February 22 or some such that we got all that done. It was really awesome. I say we. I didn't do it. But like, you know, the community as a whole.
Yeah, I feel like I only ran the game for like maybe up to a month after it came out. So around that time probably is when it was being used.
In that case, it would have been a bit earlier, but the time frame's fuzzy in my head anyway. I don't
Honestly,
really know.
same.
Yeah. Also, welcome to
dang
the
it.
freest boss fight in the entire game.
Screw Attack OP.
Yeah, we're not supposed to have screw attack against this boss, and I don't think they ever figured we would get that. But you just don't take damage and you deal massive chunks of damage with it.
Yep. So just one Shine Spark, and then you just sort of jump for a little while, and then it's dead.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Now that gets us the last missile upgrade, the Storm missiles. This one's actually like a separate thing that doesn't override what you already have. It's where you have to charge it up, and then it can lock onto up to 5 targets, and it fires all these tiny missiles, and it's sort of cool.
Yeah.
But
Also
it's
a good key.
It's really just cool. It is a key, exactly.
Yeah.
It just opens these sorts of boxes, and that's all it does.
I used to see some people use it on the final boss, but
Yeah, there was reasons to do that when the turbo cap was lower.
Yeah.
It allowed us to do a variant of gold skip, which I'll elaborate on later.
yeah.
That was slightly faster than any other variant of gold skip. But that was like the only use case for the storm missiles outside of just opening storm missile doors. So another one of those sort of sad, pitiful items. So this is another one of those pairs of Chozo robot soldiers, and they have the same problem going on where you want to try and manipulate them to be, on a line together. But what you're supposed to do is get a shine spark at the bottom. And since I messed that up right from the get-go, I'll be honest, I didn't know what to do. So I just sort of farted around and killed him. But, so be it.
This is the area where you cross bomb a couple more times.
Yeah, that was that last one just now.
But it's like,
This one's not required at all in any sense, but it's still
Yeah.
faster to do it that way. Which that has already happened a couple times as well.
yeah.
But yeah, that should be the last use of the cross bombs in the entire game, just now. Again, it wouldn't have been a little while ago because we would have still used it for the final boss, but that's not going to happen today. Hey, please, hello, thank you. We still haven't commented on instant charges this entire time.
I was thinking about it at several
Honestly.
points, and I'm like, when are we gonna?
Yeah, we've been going for an hour. That's so funny. Why don't you do the honors?
Yeah, so instant charging is a funny thing whereby normally you have to hold the charge button to charge up your shot, and then, big kaboom, very nice. However, if you do a funny spinny motion, you just instantly charge up your blaster, and there you go.
Yep.
Yep.
You can do it either by like spinning Samus around like this, do a funny boogie,
Yeah.
or by spinning in the air, right, with a spin jump.
Yeah.
Either will do, but it's just you start charging a shot, and then you do one of those things, and then you release the shot with particular
Yeah.
timing, and then it's just a fully charged shot, even though it hasn't actually had time to charge.
I'll simplify it for those who are confused. Spinny, spinny, wee, boom.
This is correct.
Yeah.
Also, this enemy gets so freaking close. It's always terrifying.
It's
Yeah.
incredibly consistent. I'm literally not worried at all. Wipe sweat off brow.
It looks like you shouldn't be able to do that, but
Yeah.
Yeah. The Turbo Omega Stream is a hell of a drug on this one. It is possible to do that without using Turbo on the Omega Stream and just fully like the vanilla Omega Stream, which I did learn how to do that 2 days before the turbo changes. So
Isn't it like
Yippee.
extremely tight though? Like if you
It's
just
very
miss a
tight.
couple
Yeah.
shots, like
you're
just,
allowed to miss
Yeah.
4 shots
That's
out of those
not
bullets.
much.
The fire rate of that gun is just shy of 15 hertz. You do the math.
wow.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
But I learned how to do it. It isn't as hard as it sounds based on the math, but it is hard.
Hey, remember all those pseudo waves? We don't care anymore because we got actual wave beam.
Yep. So at this point, we can just shoot through walls, and that's totally fine. We're not going to use that power terribly much. The main reason the wave beam is required at all is because it opens wave beam doors.
Yay! Everything's a key.
Yep. All of the like blocks that the wave beam is supposed to help you reach that are wedged into walls, we could have just pseudo waved that. Like that
Yeah.
wouldn't really have been any slower. But we do very much need to get it just to open wave beam doors. So here we are.
And it's a good DPS upgrade.
Exactly. That's the other nice thing is it is actually a good DPS upgrade. If it weren't for the wave beam, using actual gunfire on bosses from here on out, sort of middling. We'd kind of rather use missiles, or really we'd rather use the screw attack or shine sparks. But the wave beam is actually like really good damage, so we're going to be using that on bosses that. Thank you.
Hello.
That's exactly what I wanted for Christmas. No, we are going to be using the wave beam on bosses that are actually vulnerable to it, which is every boss from here on out. But, depending on the boss, some of them are vulnerable to regular gunfire and some of them aren't.
Nope.
So it sort of depends.
And welcome to the lag room.
This room's so funny. If you fire your gun at a rate like this fast in this room, it lags out like mad. You can tell the game's like really choppy right now. With the lower turbo cap that we used to have at 12 hertz, that didn't happen. And so I really freaked out when I did my first run on the new turbo cap. And I got here because my Switch is kind of old and has a couple small issues, and it has like crashed on occasion and so on, right? So I was like, oh no, what did I do? But it's just the turbo. It's fine. It's just visual lag. Anyway, defeating the next Chozo soldier just there will get us the final, like, real new upgrade of the run, the power bomb from the Emmy that we killed in a cutscene that we skipped. The power bombs are not as bad as the cross bombs.
They are powerful.
Yep.
We
use them a couple of times.
True.
I'm trying not to open my mouth about them too much because I know nothing good will come out. I don't like the power bombs. I really don't. But on the plus side, there's some really cool movement associated with them. I'm going to like lay them in particular places so that I can sort of set up my jumps afterwards. And we're going to do this where I'm going to shoot those robots down there. And you're kidding me. Okay, well, that's a very rare occurrence. That's actually that's interesting. The reason that I shoot those robots instead of just letting the power bomb kill them is that enemies that are killed by a power bomb can't drop power bombs. And so I actually want to use my gun to kill those robots so that I can get some power bomb pickup so that I don't need to talk to this statue, which would have been a little bit faster. But unfortunately, even though I did manage to kill the robots with my gun, they just happened not to drop power bombs, which is extraordinarily rare. So, you know, great. Yippee. Anywho. This here is the Golden Chozo Soldier. It's the same fight again. This is basically exactly the same as the red one. The red one actually did introduce new moves, and it has like the shield and stuff that makes it different from the very first one that we fought in Elon. But Goldie here, not so much. His moves are just faster. He has a little more health, and he does a little more damage. But, well, a lot more damage. But that's about it. Interestingly, though, because this room doesn't lag so bad from doing the turbo gunfire, he actually dies very slightly faster than the red one.
Which is odd, because like usually when games implement rain visuals on top, that tends to lag out games a bit, but
not here for some reason.
Apparently static room with nothing going on in it is harder than rain room.
The bright light really screws it up, I guess. Sort of weird.
Yeah.
How are we doing for time? Low 115. Okay, so this is pacing to be like a 118.50 something, maybe. Yeah. Not bad, not bad.
Pretty good.
Okay. I mean, I say not bad. I would have been like, I would have told you no if you told me half a year ago that I would be running times like these in 6 months.
Yeah.
It's just not real. But then I didn't know, of course, about the turbo change or about the fucking system memory thing that I messed up. But like, you know, besides that, I have improved a lot. It's good to see.
Yeah, for sure. Out of curiosity, were you just not aware it wasn't on the system memory, or did you know and you just
I fully thought it was on the system memory.
Okay,
I thought that I'd moved it when I started to run the game, which would have been December of 21. But I had not done that.
And in all these years, you just never ran out of storage or anything?
No, I did, but I just never checked.
Anyway, final boss.
Yep.
I'm gonna focus.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hard fight.
Yeah, so this is Ravenbeak, and we're gonna try and skip one phase of him, which is not too hard with the current updates of the turbo rules. So that's already a phase skipped. He's now in bird mode.
And he does a lot of damage, so it's actually kind of a good thing we have that extra health.
There's a cool little trick you can do where he misses most of his shots against you when he does the rapid fire. He's got a lot of attacks that deal a lot of damage, but it's really no problem when you can just do stuff like that and just turbo fire him.
But yeah, the way it makes the attacks miss is by doing a melee attack, which puts Samus in like this crouch stance, and that's what lets it miss. Otherwise, he would actually be destroying you with those shots.
So one of the major uses of the power bomb that you can do is blowing up that big sun attack, giving you health and missiles back. Speaking of which, we are weaving missiles in between the stream of bullets.
Kind of a slow fight.
And that was Ravenbeak.
This fight is actually really hard.
Yep.
It is. It is. Though the 20 hertz turbo helps.
Yep.
Yeah.
It used to be a lot harder at 12 hertz. I would regularly die back then, but not so much anymore.
But
I've
guess
also gotten better.
what? The X-Parasite got a hold of both Ravenbeak and Kraid.
And Z57.
I
Oh,
guess.
my.
Yeah, and whatever the other thing was.
C57, which we
Yeah.
didn't fight. We skipped that boss.
Also, we're a Metroid?
We are a Metroid.
What?
Oh my god, we've been a Metroid the entire time.
The real Metroid was inside us all along,
It was the guns that we found along the way.
for sure.
Anyway,
Anyway.
this part of the game is like really sick,
Yeah.
honestly. Metroid suit is awesome.
While we're starting off the escape sequence here, why don't you read that last donation?
It would be my absolute pleasure because we got 74 euros from Curix again, saying, love you, DTail, less than 3.
Love you too.
Oh.
That's fantastic.
That's my sister. Apparently she couldn't make it tonight, which is a shame, but
Oh.
good to get some donations in. Happy to hear from you.
Can I get a brief, quick applause for that 74? All right. Anyway, as is tradition for a Metroid game, escape sequence.
Whoa.
Run, giant laser beam. Cool looking suit.
Totally inconsequential countdown.
Yep.
I seriously, I don't know how anybody could take 3 minutes to navigate through this area. It's incredibly linear.
Yeah.
And you do have a giant death laser, so yeah.
Yep.
Right?
Look, ball spark.
Whee! That skips a cutscene like we were
Yeah.
talking about before.
Also, you don't have a health bar, so like, you really just run through and
Yeah.
you'll make it.
I missed it! I'm so
No.
sad! No!
There's a really cool speed boost extension
Yeah.
you can do, but it's
Oh, well.
pretty hard.
And
Yeah.
that's time.
That's time.
119.40. Not great. Not bad. It's fine. I'll settle.
It's like half an hour faster than my PB, so it's totally good.
To be fair, you stopped running like
Yeah.
after 2 months.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for 3 years.
Yeah.
My PB is a 1:16.56 for reference, so a good bit faster than this. But at a marathon, I'm very happy with this, especially because
Solid.
like half of this time loss compared to my PB is just big Artaria skip. Because I sat there for
True,
like what, like
true.
2 minutes,
Yeah.
maybe. I think we were like 4 minutes something at charge beam. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy with this. That's
Yeah.
fine. The estimate for this was very, very forgiving on purpose because I figured like I was submitting this while I was improving rapidly, and so it'd be smart to stay on the safe side. So I based it on what my PB was when I started grinding again, which was 123. So I just added 5 minutes to that. But obviously I've gotten a lot faster since then. Before we end off, I'd like to make that plug that I was alluding to before. So I made a little bet with my chat a few weeks ago that if I got top 20 on the leaderboards on a given stream, I would do a Metroid Dread door tier list.
God.
And so
Okay.
that's going to be happening on my Twitch page. That's just DTail74. It's very easy to find. On Saturday, the next week, so Saturday the 8th of March, probably around 7 o'clock Dutch time, which that's like 1 p.m. Eastern for our American friends. So if you'd like to just hang out while somebody who knows way too much about this game rambles for like 3 or 4 hours about all 292 doors that appear in
Oh,
any
wait, you're
percent.
not even doing the types of door, you're doing the specific.
The specific door.
All right.
All 292 doors that appear in any percent, and not the ones that we use, the ones that appear on screen. Then, come hang out. It'll be a good time.
That's wonderful.
It should be fun. For right now, though, I think that's all for me. We have other runs to do. Thank you very much for having me, as always. Thanks to my couch for being here. Thanks also to someone, even though she's not here anymore. Thank you very much, Philippe Jr. and
Yeah,
Philippe
Philippe,
Jr. Jr.
yeah.
Very
Really
helpful
carrying the
commentary.
commentary.
Yeah, for real.
Say hi to the old man.
Yeah, where is he? What's he doing? I want to know what
Yeah.
he's up to, man. But yeah, that'll be all from me. And back over to you.
Thank you so much for this absolutely incredible run. Always happy to see more Metroid and Metroidvania games when I'm watching here. So GG's on that. Coming up next, after a quick short intermission, I do believe we have the game with the longest title in this marathon, which is going to be Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep, a Wonderland's one-shot adventure. So please stick around and don't go anywhere.
I'm surprised you managed to say all that.